It's week 37 of the golfing calendar, and today we're in the sandbelt at Woodlands Golf Club, and the weather, well, couldn't be better for golf, or in Nick's case, for golf and wine. So now, with a huge thanks to our great mates at Ping, this is the most listened to Australian golf podcast with a couple of guys who've done it all. Talk birdie to me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
We're not at Australian Golf headquarters today. It's
We're
just
not.
a little bit disappointing. But I'll tell you what, when you get to a place called Woodlands Golf Club and we're in the library here and you're looking out on a beautiful day and we've had a big win on the LPGA Tour, it's pretty flash.
It is. And guess what?
Go on.
We always toast winners, don't we?
Yes, we do.
There we go.
Good work. What are we drinking today?
Well, we've got the House Shiraz.
Ooh,
A little bit like last time we were at Royal Melbourne and we got their House Shiraz. Well, this is the Woodlands House Shiraz from Snobs Creek Vineyard.
Just a splash for me, thank you.
Just a splash?
Dan, you can have the gallon over there. I'll just have a splash.
I'm a good pourer.
Yeah,
Just
you
remember
are.
that.
You're like
Well
a
done.
sommelier, aren't you? You're like a wine aficionado.
Oh, it's nice. It's a nice little tradition we'll get going for
Yes.
winners and any other time we're doing a podcast.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well done, Minj.
Cheers, guys.
Good on you, Minjee. You're
Yes.
a star.
Certainly is, and it was a great week for the Lee family, which we'll talk about as we go.
So tell me, I've only seen highlights, but you've seen more than me. Tell me about the way she played. I know she made a double bogey on 12 on a par 5, which is unlike her. No other bogeys or birdies on the back 9. Looked like she hung on and holed a good putt on the 72nd.
Yes, she did. I was watching the final 9 holes, and at one stage, I think she had a 5-shot lead through 9 or 10 holes, which
Right.
you're thinking, okay,
Cruising.
tournament's over. But
Yeah.
they get to this par 5. Seemed to be a lot of water on this on the back 9. Well, I saw some holes with water anyway. It's called the Kenwood Golf Club in Cincinnati, Ohio. You know what I loved about it? It was rock hard.
Rock hard.
The greens were very firm, so it was good to see how they had to really manipulate the ball and almost run the ball up to a lot of the holes.
So tell me this, in your experience, and you've played a lot right across America, the more north you go, and Cincinnati's a fair way up there,
It is.
the more north you go, normally the greens get a little softer. So to see some firm greens up north, that's unusual or not?
Yeah, it can be. It just depends time. I mean, they're coming, what are they, in the end of summer, so everything's pretty baked out, and it did look a little dry up there at the same time. But anyway, it was great to see a nice firm golf course, and no surprise that an Aussie who likes firm golf courses, who grew up in Perth, played well on this particular style of course. But as you said, she made double on 12, and at that stage she had a 4-shot lead. And she was leading over Englishwoman Charlie Hull. Charlie carved her shot into the water, so there's a bogey coming up right away. And
Yeah.
I was really surprised that Minjee actually went for this green. She had a fairway wood in her hand, tried to cut one in, double-crossed it, hits it out of bounds, makes double bogey, and all of a sudden, hang on, we got a tournament here. So she had a 3-shot lead over Hull at that stage. They par the 13th, and then Hull goes birdie, birdie, birdie. She just starts rolling them in from everywhere. And as it turned out, like the last hole, the 72nd hole, Minjee had to hole about an 8-footer for par just to stay in it. And it was clutch. Because we've seen her earlier in the year, I think it was the Founders Cup, where she got beaten in a playoff and she missed a couple of putts coming down the stretch. So it was good to see her really roll the ball well over the last few holes. And then they went into that playoff.
Yeah, okay. 2 questions. Charlie Hull, how is the pre-shot routine looking? Because all I've seen are the Minjee Lee highlights.
She's a tough watch. And the thing that has changed a little bit is
Yeah.
she doesn't look up at the target as many times as what we saw previously.
Yes.
But her last 10 seconds, maybe 15,
Yeah.
she's standing over the ball dead still, and it bothers me. I really struggle to watch.
Yeah, I can
and she has
imagine.
that very short, aggressive follow-through, but she is a go-getter, and she attacks the golf course, and I love to see it.
Any balanced finishes from Charlie Hull, or is she dancing around all over the place?
She was dancing. The feet weren't really sliding, but it's a very awkward follow-through, but it works for her, and she's just such an aggressive player, and she almost had a bit of a Tiger moment at the Masters on that first playoff hole where this ball just hung on the lip just short of it. It was amazing.
Okay, and question number 2, that was question 1 and question 1A. Question number 2, Minjee Lee has one of the 7 swings that we've announced the best swing in the world. There's so many of them with the girls. They swing so well. How did it look? Was it TikTok or was it anything new that you noticed, or was it just magnif?
Not with Minjee. It doesn't need to change, to be honest. It's just rock solid up and down the line. She did actually struggle hitting a couple of fairways down the stretch, which is a bit surprising, but Hull I think I don't know whether she hit a fairway on the back nine. She was always in the rough, but just kept hitting really good iron shots into the greens, rolling in nice putts. And coming down the stretch, I still thought Minjee was going to hold her off and actually win the golf tournament, but they went into this playoff. And the second playoff hole where she won was very interesting. They both drive it in the rough up the left-hand side. Minjee's got a bit of a worse lie than Charlie. Charlie hits a really good shot in there about 15, 18 feet to the right of the hole. And Minjee hits the shot of the week. And I'm going to do the masterclass on this a little bit later, but she hit a wedge from 145 metres. So that's a long wedge, by the way. She lands it about 20 metres short to the green. It rolls all the way up, got this nice flyer come out of the rough, and it goes to about 3 feet and knocks it in for the birdie. Beautiful. Yeah. What a way to do it.
How much, when a shot like that, when you've picked the flyer, you've got a wedge, it's long rough.
Yep.
How much is it luck and skill? So give us a bit of a breakdown. Because I'm going to go with, there's a lot of luck involved. So I'm going to say there's 35% luck and 65% skill.
Yeah. To get it to 3 feet, there is a lot of luck involved. To get it to 20 feet, no. I mean, the good players, there's a lot of skill in that. So she talked the shot through with her caddy, Brad Beecher, who's been a fantastic caddy over the years, been on the bag in Inby Park, I think, for a long time when she won all of the tournaments, but he's been on Minjee's bag for a while, and they really talked it through. It was fascinating to listen to the discussion. You know, they had 145 metres to the hole. I think it was 125 to the front, and they're thinking, okay, we've got 109. That's where we need to land it. It's playing 114. They've got all these numbers going through, and she's going, should I hit a 3/4 one? Yes, I like that. And, you know, do I want to be a bit right, bit left? It was a fascinating discussion, and they need more of that in the tournaments coming down the stretch. Just so we can hear these conversations. It was really good. And then she did exactly what she said she was going to do. But then, as you said, there was a little bit of luck that it rolled to 3 feet.
You and I have been talking about this a lot. It's one thing, like if you're trying to win a tournament, this is a $2 million tournament, so a $360,000 first prize. You don't want to wear a microphone. That's the last thing you want to do. But for the benefit of everybody, how about putting a little microphone on the caddy?
That would be good.
How about just doing that? Because to hear the caddy talk, you'd be able to pick up what the player was saying, but you would get a real gist of how to play golf. Don't worry about their conversation, because no one cares how you had spaghetti the night before and whether it was any good or not. To listen to a caddy almost ride a player like a jockey does a horse, that's what people want to listen to. Yeah. And, you know, I've been in last groups before in the last days and ended up being out of contention. And I'm even interested, you know, I can remember being really interested. Peter Senior, it was myself, Glenn Joyner, and Peter Senior were in the last group, and Peter cleaned us up. I mean, the tournament was over after 9 holes. I was leading, and the tournament was over.
He has a habit of doing that.
He came out of the blocks and he was just hitting draws over water to 6 foot. I just couldn't believe my eyes. Anyway, in the end, I'm just listening to, God, I'm trying to remember who it was. Might have been Craig Thompson on the bag for Peter Senior at that stage. That's I was interested in just the psychology of a good caddy talking to a great player. It was great. And to get a microphone on some of these caddies, you only have to do it on both caddies in the last group. I mean, the odds are that they're the guys going to be fighting it out.
Yeah, true. No, I totally agree, but they've got to get the permission through the players, because coming down the stretch, if they get a bit heated. I mean, the players caddy who I'd love to see it on would be Tyrrell Hatton. Some of the things that come out of his mouth, it would be fantastic to hear. So.
That would be brilliant.
But as I mentioned before, it was a great win from Minjee. Now the LPGA has a week off, then they've got the Solheim Cup coming up in a couple of weeks, but her brother Min Woo had a pretty good chance coming down the stretch at the Irish Open at the K Club. Have you ever been to the K Club?
No, I've never been to the K Club, but I've seen it when the Ryder Cup was there a long time ago.
2006. I used to play there every year. They had it wasn't the Irish Open back then. It was called something else. Maybe a European Masters or something like that. But I'll tell you this little story because it's quite a good one and it involves my wife and a bit of wine.
Oh, good. Allanah, righto.
All
Have
wine
you got
stories
permission
are
to
good.
tell this story or not?
I'll ask later. No, she'll be fine with me telling this story. But we were playing an event just before the K Club week called the Christy O'Connor Pro-Am. I don't know if you remember that name, Christy O'Connor, famous Irish player. But he used to run this Pro-Am for charity and we're there in the clubhouse doing our little cocktail party and all. There's a lot of golfers and all the dignitaries walking around, and I got introduced to Dr. Michael Smurfit, who was the owner of the K Club.
Right.
He was a multi-squillionaire, Dr. Michael Smurfit, who had this packaging company and all that. Anyway, I get introduced to him, and he goes, "Oh, you're Australian." And I said, yes, I am. And by the way, this is my wife. And she says, "Oh, thank you for having us and everything." And he goes, "Oh, you're Australian too." And she goes, "Yeah, no shit, Sherlock."
I didn't know where you were going with the story, but that is sensational.
She's a beauty, Allanah, and we may have had a couple of glasses of red by then, and it was a good night. The thing I was worried about...
so good.
It's funny, it's good.
The thing I was worried about was the next day I was wondering if my name had been scratched off the starting list for the K Club, whether I got disqualified without actually teeing it up. But the other thing about this Irish Open, have you ever seen 90 players make a cut?
No.
90.
No, I have. I saw, there was a British Open with the old 10-shot rule, and I reckon 100 and something players made the cut. But I'm not a regular tour event, never. So what was the number? Everyone
it was 90 on the number.
So what was the number 2 under or 3 under, or how did it work?
I think it was 2 under. Yeah, there was
90
about
players.
25 or 30 guys on 2 under.
It was
unbelievable. But the one thing I was a little sad about, and next year it won't be, is that it wasn't on a links golf course.
Well,
we've spoken about this before, haven't we?
I was just going to say, when I turn the Irish Open on, when I'm flicking around and I see Irish Open about to come up, I don't want to see, what do you call it, not a farmland course,
Parkland.
A parkland course. I don't want to see a parkland course. I've got no interest. I want to see a linksy style golf. Now, where are they playing it next year?
I think it's Royal County Down.
Oh, well, there you go.
We want to see that one.
Yeah, because golf courses can be the hero, can't they? I mean, of tournaments.
I will say this about the K Club, and because I think they have 36 or maybe even 54 holes there now. It was soft, so it was wet. They had rain delays. But the last 3 holes are cracking holes, I think, for a bit of drama. 16's a par 5 where you got the River Liffey. Now, the River Liffey is the river where they get the water out of the ground or out of the river for Guinness.
Right. Oh, you're kidding me.
For the Guinness factory. So that's what runs through the whole town of Dublin. Right, so I think that's the way. Anyway.
Do they clean it up?
I'm sure they do. It has a bit of a brown tinge to it, so maybe they don't.
I was going to say.
But the last 16, 17 are 2 cracking holes where you got to work your way. 16's a par 5, and Rory, funnily enough, he knocked it in the water, made triple there, and we can talk about that as we go. But 17 is one of the smelliest tee shots you'll have because this river is just right there all the way up the left side. Everyone bails right. And then the last hole is a great 2-shot par 5 if you hit a good drive, and you can... anything can happen basically. So it is a good finish in that regard, but the rest of the golf course is a bit, you'd rather see it on a links course. But as it turned out, Sweden's Norman Vincent went bogey-free, 65. He won the Barbasol a few months ago, actually. He plays the DP World Tour, but the Barbasol, which is on the PGA Tour, was co-sanctioned. So he's been playing really well of late. The third round leader, you'll love this name.
Go on.
Hurley Long.
Oh, that is a magnificent
That's a good name, isn't it?
That's a beautiful golf name. Actually, I'll get busy at the break. I'll work out a top 5 for the.
I was just thinking that.
I think we've done the most unfortunate golf names, but
nicknames we've done before. Yeah,
but we need a top 5 with just the best golf names. Simple as that. So I'll work on it.
Yeah, but Hurley Long had the third round lead, and basically Norman Vincent finished probably an hour before everyone else. And you had Rory, you had Ryan Fox, you had Min Woo, all coming at him, and they kind of didn't collapse, but they really fell away towards the end. So it was a real tough one in that regard. But it was good to see Shane Lowry play well. Had a tied third because he was the Ryder Cup pick. He needed to get his act together.
I went and had a look because after our podcast last week, we spoke about who we think should get in. And Moronk, who had won at the Ryder Cup venue and won 3 or 4 other times throughout the year and was, third on the Race to Dubai or to Ramera and all that kind of stuff, he missed out. And when you go through socials, everybody was questioning whether Lowry would be in there. So as soon as the tournament finished, I've had a look, and Moronk finished about 15th or 16th.
He was up there as well, yeah.
And Lowry finished tied third. So he's made a bit of it makes it hard for the haters.
Yeah, when we did our last pod, we didn't know who. And I actually had Moronk in my picks.
Yeah,
I
you
thought
did.
he was going to get a pick. And the guy I thought who wasn't going to would have been Nikolai Højgaard, although he had played pretty well of late. Obviously, Ludwig Aberg got in. But Larry, for me, is a lock. You put him in the Ryder Cup any day and he will fire it up. But good to see him play well. Rory, as I said, he had a bit of a chance, but he made a double and a triple, and he was in the water more times than... The other thing Rory said during the week was talking about the PIF. And we were talking about LIV golf and all this, when we haven't really heard much about LIV of late.
Well, this is interesting because their second last tournament starts in a couple of weeks. And there is no hint of a schedule popping up for 2024. We know that there's an agreement to agree with the US Tour and the Saudi Arabians. We know that is in place, but it's September. This has got to get worked out at some stage. So I want to ask you, in a perfect world, you're running the show.
Yep.
Right. You've just taken the $2 billion, reportedly, that they've thrown in there. And I keep on hearing it's $2 billion to buy in year one and $1 billion a year after that. So it's a lot of cash. There's stacks. So you've got it all in place. But Nick, it comes down to you. How do you see the world of golf moving forward? Because it's a pretty big fork in the road for the game of golf.
Yeah, it certainly is. You throw me under the bus a little here, Mark, but that's okay.
I've got mine all set to go if you want.
No, that's okay. So they've agreed to agree, as you've said. Next year, I think I'll tell you what will happen next year. And again, I'm only guessing, but this is what I think will happen. LIV Golf will continue on. Yep. As in they'll have a schedule out. I have heard Adelaide is going to be the first event next year. I'm not sure when. I think it's going to be earlier than it was this year.
Yep.
They'll probably run their full schedule as is. They'll keep paying their guys, do all that. PGA Tour already has their schedule set. I think something will happen the following year in 2025 where this PIF deal will get sorted next year. And they'll then run maybe some sort of a schedule of this team format either after the FedEx Cup playoffs when there's a bit of downtime or possibly earlier in the year. That probably doesn't work either. What they do with the LIV players and whether they can come back to the PGA Tour, that's a whole other story as well. So tell me yours.
Okay, so I think LIV goes full international. When I say international, not USA.
Oh.
That's what I think.
So they're thinking of, I wanted to travel less and play less, might not be what will happen.
They might still play 14 tournaments a year, but they're going international, folks. And that's...
I think they're doing that already, yeah.
Yeah, so so instead of there's probably about half the tournaments at the moment in the United States. I think so, about there.
Probably.
About that number. It might be 40 or 50%. I think what will happen is LIV will get ticked off. It'll happen all over the world except for America. I still think in America their fall series of events will go on, and that's with the Corn Ferry Tour and the other players. So that will continue as a vehicle to get onto the US Tour. I think the international series of events that were contemplated, I think they'll still go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, I think that'll happen. So if you want to go and play in these tournaments, I'll just look down the list. There'll be huge money events.
I got to be honest, the schedules, I mean, I'm so confused about it all now anyway, just with these internationals, the signatures, the LIV, the what. No, it's a bit baffling, to be honest.
And I also think that players like McIlroy, players like JT, players like John Rahm, who said no to LIV, I think they'll be able to play in LIV events and they will get appearance money each time they play. And it'll be the very first time ever that the US Tour has ticked off appearance fees. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think that's the balance, and I think players like JT and Rory will go, yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah, well, Rory came out during the week and said, look, I still don't like LIV, but we need to collaborate with the PIF. So, and he knows that. He sees like the EPL, English Premier League, the Formula One, how they work within the ecosystem. That was what he was talking about. So he sees that that's definitely a viable product and that could work. How it works, they've obviously got a lot of discussions to go.
Do you think we'll see two in Australia? Now, there's the other question. So
I'd love to see two in Australia.
I think we'll see. So I think two LIV events, and I think hopefully in our region one day we'll get one down here as well. It'll be US Tour sanctioned. So I think eventually we might get three right around here somewhere. That's my guess.
It would be fantastic. So, but anyway, it was a great Irish Open, just to tie a knot on that. And then this week we have the BMW Championship, the flagship event over there. coming up at Wentworth.
Rightio.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I believe we might have some voicemail, Dan. I love this. I like it.
Let's check it out and have a listen to what it is.
Indeed.
You have one new voicemail. New message.
Yeah, g'day, Nick and Mark. Great podcast as usual. My question would be, what are the 3 best courses that you guys have played in Australia that are accessible to the public as well? Like, you might have been 3 gems that could be anywhere in Australia that you have played and you thought, anybody can get on them, but they're just great value and great courses. Great podcast, guys. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
That's fantastic.
Very good. Who was that from again?
That's from Chris Payne.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That was a very good question. So I'm sort of assuming that we're talking about not really private clubs, but obviously anyone can get on. So it could be private and a public.
Yeah, it could be both.
Yeah, a bit of both. You want to give me yours?
Well,
what are you thinking?
I'm just quickly jotting down mine. So one of them I've only played once, but I liked it, and it was Kennedy Bay over in Perth.
Good call.
Yeah, so
Very good.
I really liked Kennedy Bay. I thought that was a great place. It didn't have a clubhouse when I was there. It had a little caravan, and when we went to pay our fees, the caravan, like the little window opened up, and that much smoke, and it wasn't cigarette smoke, Nick. It was some kind of other smoke that had a funny smell. And it was like a Cheech and Chong movie or something. Anyway, he let us go on and play. But once we got out there,
Great track.
It was brand new. I thought it was absolutely sensational, to the point where I still have it in this. It's the first course that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still around, or I know they were having some financial trouble a long time ago with trying to get the clubhouse going. But it was designed by the late great Roger Mackay, Ian Baker Finch, and I think Michael Coates as well. They did like a little trio doing the architecture. Just a brilliant links golf course down there. Oh, I like that. Yeah, good call.
So my number 2 is there's a bloke called Tom Doak, and Tom Doak is probably the Tiger Woods of golf course architecture, and it's another course without a clubhouse.
Okay.
St Andrews Beach.
Yeah,
so
another good one.
That one's always ranked pretty high. So I've got St Andrews Beach in there at number 2, and my number 3. And now this is a sneaky good one. It's down that way as well, close to St Andrews Beach. But I'm going to say the Legends course at Moona.
Very good.
I think the Legends course is actually better than the Open course. It's funny. I was doing some work for Channel 7, doing the commentary at Channel 7. I'd never seen the Legends course, but they had us all staying down there. Anyway, I got up for a walk. I'd try and go for a walk each morning. I thought I'd go and have a look at the Legends course. I went and had a look, and I came straight back to the boss and said, "Hey, we're playing the wrong course. We're playing the Australian Open on the wrong course, the Legends course." So there are my 3: Kennedy Bay in Perth, St Andrews Beach on the Mornington Peninsula, and also the Legends course at Moona Links.
Very good.
I've just looked up Kennedy Bay. You said you're not sure if it's still around. It is, and in fact, it's one of the top 10 courses in Australia, according to their website.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and it looks amazing. Like, the photos look incredible.
Has it got a clubhouse yet?
Well,
we got the little
I'll
guy
have to find out
smoking bongs on the first tee still.
Hey. Looks very good.
There. No, very good. But okay, so my 3, I'm going to go with Coolum.
Yes,
the Palmer Resort. I mean, that's
where you've won.
Well, I've won her out there. I know,
biased.
but it fits my eye perfectly. And I've always loved, the fact that so much risk reward around there with the water holes. Great finishing hole around the lake. But I always enjoyed that until they started putting dinosaurs on the golf course.
Yeah, nothing like playing golf with a Tyrannosaurus Rex watching you.
Yes.
I can tell you this, Nick.
It's coming back, right?
I've been there recently, and Clive Palmer, who has a sniff of a LIV event.
LIV, that's what I was thinking.
He's got a sniff of it. Now, last time I was there, it was completely cleaned up, and the whole joint's getting redone. So if you are thinking about going to Coolum, last time I was there, it was 8.5 out of 10 instead of 3 out of 10 like it had been.
Okay, good to know. Okay, that's that's one. And now these again, I haven't been down to Tassie and played all those courses. Obviously,
those courses.
Yeah,
I forgot about Tassie.
Cape Wickham, all these. I'm sure they're fantastic, but I haven't played them. So I can only tell you the ones that I have played. One that I really wanted to play recently, not far from here, is Portsea, but I haven't been there either.
You haven't played Portsea?
No, I haven't played it. I was meant to play the Pro-Am this year, but I was injured and sick.
It used to be a top 25 course in Australia all the time. Yeah,
but I haven't played it. Number 2 for me is Bunbury. Golf
Never
Club.
been there.
Haven't been down there. It's down in the southwest. A beautiful little golf course. Starts both nines with par threes, which is very unusual. Yeah. We used to play the Southwest Open down there, and funnily enough, I won around there. So, oh, geez, I should stop down this track. So, but one place I haven't won, and I love because I went there a little while ago, was Flinders. I love Flinders.
Flinders
down on the Mornington Peninsula. I think that's a fantastic little golf course, and you could stand on some of those holes out on the water, and you think, I could be, on the Monterey Peninsula. Yeah. I could be down somewhere in Tasmania, but we're here in, not far from Melbourne. It's a beautiful spot.
I feel guilty because I've given you the not so obvious best courses to play, but those courses in Tassie, the Barnboogles and the King Island golf courses.
You've played them, right?
I've played them all,
and they live up to expectations.
If it's not a windy day, Nick, I'm a fair weather golfer. If it's not a windy day, they are a delight, an absolute delight to play. If it is a windy day, I don't know. You probably got to go play them anyway, but be careful.
But that was a good question from Chris. I like that.
I actually love. Can we get mail? So where do people do it? If people listening for the first time, where can they send in their questions?
So if you want to leave a voicemail message for Nick and Mark, it's really easy. Go to the website talkbirdie2me.com.au, and about halfway down the page, there's a little thing that says "Start recording your message." Click it and do it. It's easy.
So we've got so much to get through on the back nine here. We've got another caller. We've got some more results, feedback, top five, and, of course, Nick's masterclass.
International caller.
Ooh. I'm going to refill my glass. Perfect.
Like the podcast? Oh, maybe tell a friend. Drop them a text or share it on your socials. This is Talk Birdie to Me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
All right, Mark, this glass is going down quite nicely on the 10th tee here.
That's your third glass.
It's my second.
Second on air, but third altogether. I'm watching you closely.
No, come on. I got to drive home. Two's enough.
Righto. We've got a caller in a second. International.
We do, yes.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Before we get to that, I want to ask you, because you've been playing a bit of golf, the corporate days, charity days, things like that.
Yeah,
a good buddy of mine, Mark Robertson, he has one at the end of the year at the Victoria Golf Club, and it's become so popular. The problem is they've got so many groups. There's going to be about 39 groups playing, so that's a lot of groups. And we were chatting the other day about what the best formats are in these sorts of golf days. Because last year we played Jensen's, which is a good format, but we're trying to figure out how can we speed up play. You got thoughts?
Yeah, I've got the best possible way.
Great.
One, inside a putt length is a gimme in all these days, all right? Because gimmies just speed up. So if you're inside, and not a long putter either, it's got to be
a putter length.
It's got to be a putter length.
So 3 feet, basically.
Yeah, that's right. So inside a putter length on these sort of days, it is a gimme no matter what you're doing. The other one, now, Ambrose is interesting, but it's built for cheating.
Yeah.
It is fair dinkum built for cheating, and some of the scores that come in, you scratch your head and you go, it's impossible.
I find Ambrose takes a bit longer too.
That's right. But here we go. This is an Ambrose format where you don't have to count drives.
Okay.
And there is more strategy. And if you're doing this with the gimmies, they'll be whizzing around in under 4 hours.
Ooh.
So everybody hits off. You pick a drive. And then on the next shot, the person whose drive you picked cannot hit the next shot.
Okay.
So that is it. And then after that, you're away. You can do whatever you want. But what that does is that stops one person. You've got one good golfer in your group.
So they can play after the second shot.
They can play the third shot. They can
okay.
play the third shot and then on. But if you hit the drive, you're sitting back.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think that works really well. You don't have to count people's drives. There's a little bit more structure, and you got to think about what's going to happen next. And I think it works well.
Okay.
All right.
I'll run that past him. Well, Mark listens anyway, but it's a good one.
So let's do some results.
Go on, Nick.
Okay, so this week we're going to call it the results, but it's the Ping Global Performances.
Hey, okay.
Well, I think that's our name from now on.
Oh, that's better than results.
Yeah,
the
results.
Ping Global Performances.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So obviously Minjee Lee, she won the LPGA event, the Kroger Queen City Championship. Now, other Aussies playing, we had Gabby Ruffles.
Yep.
She was playing nicely, tied for 36. Steph Kuriaku, tied for 41st. Sarah Kemp, 55th. The DP World Tour, Ryan Fox, the New Zealander, tied for 3rd. Min Woo, tied for 7th. Good result for him. Another Kiwi, Daniel Hillier, tied for 12th. And Jason Scrivener, tied for 54th. Now, on the Epsom Tour, they played for their biggest purse ever.
Ooh, what was it?
$375,000 US.
That's good cash.
That is good. Really good cash. Natalia Guseva took home the $56,000 winning check, but good results for the Aussies. Robin Choi tied for 13th. Cassie Porter tied for 23rd there. And then we had a tri-sanctioned event between Japan, Asia and Korea.
I've been watching a bit on telly. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, Anthony Koala had a great chance to win this one, but unfortunately didn't quite get over the line, but had a nice result there, tied for third. It was the Shinhan Donghai Open in South Korea. I just had to get that one out.
2 glasses of wine after that happened.
Yeah, and then I just want to read out this result because it's really good. Kirsten Rudgley had tied for 11th at the Big Green Egg Open on the Ladies European Tour.
Hang on, what's that called?
The Big Green Egg Open. Do you know what they are?
What?
Because I had one of these in the US.
What are they?
They're a big, they're a barbecue cooker. You know, it's like a it's like a giant Weber. A Weber. So we used to play this tournament in the US called the Sanderson's Championship in Mississippi, all right, Alabama. And they used to get everyone in the field a big green egg, and they'd send it to your house. And this thing was massive. It is the best thing you've ever cooked anything out of. It was incredible. So anyway, another good result for Kirsten after she played really well last week. And Richard Green, another good result in the Champions Tour, tied for 8th. Greeny's a lefty, but another lefty one. Steve Flesh, really good player, came home, storming home in 62, 9 under par to win in Missouri.
Geez, there's no jingle jingles in those hands if you're shooting 62 to win a tournament on the Champions Tour. Yeah, that's magnificent. Well done, Steve.
Playing really well, but Greeny now solidifies his place for next season. He's like 20th or 22nd on the order of merit, so he's good.
Let's give Joseph a call. Now, Joseph is from Napier in New Zealand, and he's a greenkeeper.
Yeah, okay.
He's a greenkeeper at two golf courses. He's a greenkeeper at Maranui Golf Course and also at Awatoto Public Course.
Wow. Nice. Very good.
Come on, Joseph. Answer the phone. Hey, they got the same ringtone as us.
Yeah.
I thought when did that change? They never used to. It used to be a little bit different, didn't it?
Hello, Joseph.
G'day, Joseph. How are you? It's Mark Allen and Nick O'Hearn. What year is it in New Zealand at the moment?
It's the good year of 2023.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Joseph, hey, first of all, thanks for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. But you had a question for us?
No, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm a greenkeeper in New Zealand over here.
Yeah.
A quick quiz question. I live in Hawke's Bay. Which famous golf course is in Hawke's Bay?
What famous golf course is in Hawke's Bay?
Hawke's Bay.
It's not Kidnappers, is it?
Yeah, Kidnappers.
You're good, Mark.
Not bad. Not bad. I'll tell you, Kidnappers. Can I tell you this, Joseph?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome place.
The first time that I saw Cape Kidnappers, pictures of it, I thought it was one of those fake calendar golf courses.
The fingers going out.
I really did.
It's amazing to go and visit. We'd go up there, and first time I ever went up there, the greenkeepers took us out on the golf course and golf carts, and the next minute we're on the middle of the fairway. I'm thinking, this grass is pristine. What are you doing driving?
And what would it be like to play, and how windy does it get?
Oh, you've got to pick your day. Got to be nice and beautiful. Like, those gullies just eat your golf balls. It's amazing. Yeah.
And what's your favourite course in New Zealand, Joseph? Mine is Perapera Umu.
Yeah, got to agree with that.
I'll go to be biased and say where I work in Minor Golf Course.
Oh, yeah. And what about this new one up north, Tara Edi? I hear so many amazing things about this place.
Oh, there's some amazing golf courses getting built up there. Yeah, there's
how many?
Heaps in Auckland. Like, there's rich people up there just developing land. There's new golf courses popping up in places you'd never even build a house.
Yeah, it's incredible. Perfect part of the world up there. Tia Rai is another one up there, I believe, next to Tara Edi. That's a really good one. But Joseph, what's your question for us?
Well, I was going to ask about how you guys dealt with noise while you guys played, because, we work and we can't just stop for everybody who wants a quiet golf course, airplane. How do you guys deal with that?
Well, it's funny. My dad told me he saw me once when he came down to watch. He didn't watch me too often. He got a bit nervous, but he came and watched once, and he saw me pull away when there was a bit of noise.
Yep.
And I didn't handle it so well. And he said to me, he goes, "You look so unprofessional when you did that." And from that point forward, I didn't hear anything. Even if I heard something, it was in my head that if I stopped and acknowledged it or carried on, that it was unprofessional. And from that point forward, if there was some really loud noise, I would just back off and start again. Yeah. But I think if you're taught that stuff, if you're not taught that stuff, quite often you don't know how to react. But my dad was a pretty good judge of sport, And I always took that on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some good advice there, Mark. But yeah, it all comes back to routine. I think you've really focused in on the routine, then you don't tend to hear things. If you're not focusing and you're not concentrating, you hear everything. Colin Montgomery Monty was a great one about that. He could hear a butterfly with broken legs land about 100 yards away. He was incredible.
But Nick, he was one of the worst because you'd be in the middle of your routine and he would rip his glove off so loudly in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah, but
don't get me started with Montgomery, for goodness sake.
Well, I was going to say that the other thing there, Joseph, is when it's really quiet, you can actually hear the odd noise. When there's a bit of a murmur going or something like that, there's a bit of noise around, especially with crowds. Or, I mean, if you got the mower going, for instance, given you're a greenkeeper, well, I guess golfers really should just continue on with it, to be honest, because there's always this background noise that's constant, which is a lot easier than if it is dead silent. But I reckon you could play some pretty good tricks on golfers where you just start up the mower just as they're going into their backswing, I imagine.
Oh, we've had some daggers. You get some looks from these golfers. They want pristine quiet. Like, you can't. It just can't happen.
No, don't worry about them.
I've got a 1-year-old son, Nick, and he is swinging his golf club with his left hand.
Oh, you beauty. Yeah, just keep him going. Left-handers forever.
Hey, Joseph, tell me this. The All Blacks, they got towed up by France first up. You still going to be good enough to win the whole lot?
Oh, we're going all the way.
Yeah, right. Well,
We're going all the way. Same with the Warriors.
What did you make about the France mistake then, when you lost to France?
Oh, yeah, it was just our opening game. It was a very good record to lose. We'd never lost a pool game before. But we'll bounce back. We'll keep going.
Well, Joseph, thanks for listening, mate. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
All of our listeners, of course. And, mate, hopefully we'll see you over there one day. Make sure you do come say hello.
No worries. All good. Thanks. See you.
How about it? How about people waiting? You got people trying to keep the golf course magnificent. They're doing their very best for you, and a little bit of noise, and you're getting a dagger at the greenskeeper. Come on, folks. Time for some feedback, Dan.
On last week's masterclass on topping the ball from you, Mark,
Shags combined with Nick O'Hearn, they have 3 victories against Tiger Woods in match play because Shags was the caddy for Peter O'Malley, when Pom beat Tiger Woods at the Accenture World Match Play.
So what I'm hearing is between you, Nick, between Shags, and between you, Mark, we've got 3 victories over Tiger.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, Shags has commented on the masterclass and he said, Marco, you clearly didn't use enough Rockstar hair product today. Too windy.
Yeah, my hair was looking a little bit thin too. I'm a bit worried. I don't know what I'm going to do. I get
my heart bleeds.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was exactly. I wasn't sure if it was a cold top or a bit of a heavy fat.
It was a bit of both. It was a bit of both.
Well done.
Yeah.
And some comments on an older masterclass of yours, Marco. This one was on the importance of your backswing. KB has said, my dad drilled that into me.
That was backswing length. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I think you might have reposted on YouTube. It just popped up on my X feed that it was a one about judging distance with the short game, and I know for me once it was pointed out to me that backswing length determined how far the ball went. That was a game changer, complete game changer.
Michelle has said, having beginner lessons on Monday, I will add that to the hundreds of other tips that I need to learn. I'm not at all confident. Any tips for Michelle?
For Michelle?
Yeah, beginners, first time by the sound of it.
No, well, it's all about having fun, Michelle. Don't for one instant think you've got to try your hardest to have a good score. Try your hardest to have a good time, and you'll enjoy golf for the rest of your life.
Fantastic.
Dom has said, easily the best chipping advice I have seen.
What about all Nick's chipping masterclasses?
No, we get plenty of masterclass comments on Nick as well. We're going to share the love around.
It's nice to have a win.
I get the lefties.
There was some comments on your top 5 last week, Nick. So you did the top 5 last week on DQs.
Yes, correct.
Those really interesting DQs. There were some rippers there. How's that photo that we put up?
What a stupid I am.
Yeah, very, very heartbreaking. Anyway, a couple of comments here. Junior Callanan said, love these stories. That's the best part of the pod, along with the old tales from the guys back in the day. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you, sir.
And Michael Q. Todd, I love the DQ stories, Nick. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Michael. Beautiful.
Now, we had a bit of fun last week. We took a photo. It was a photo of you guys last week out overlooking the Royal East 18th, I think it was.
Oh, in the balcony.
On the balcony.
Yeah, the 18th, yeah.
And there was a very funny snapshot where Nick was looking at you in a weird way, Mark, and I can't for the life of me remember what he was saying at the time.
Right.
But we put it up and we said, caption contest.
Okay, nice.
And some of the comments are great.
Where was this? I didn't see any of this.
Well, you're not on Facebook, so if you're on Facebook, you would have seen it. You know, if you want to get into
Instagram,
yeah, maybe once you get into 2003,
come into
you'll
the
be able
real
to
world.
see
Yeah.
I'll
Anyway.
see what I can do.
These are the comments I believe, Mark, you were saying to Nick to get that reaction from,
Right,
from Nick.
okay.
Stuart Drury has said, don't forget, I was and still am the #1 bunker player in the world,
That's
mate.
right, that's true.
Well, from what I saw that when we played here a week or so ago, that could be true.
Yeah,
You
well,
hit some good bunker shots.
Nick, it is true, believe me.
Simon Keith records, Marco, you just said, hey, I just hold a 4-put putt for par.
Thank you, Simon. I know Simon. He's a good fella.
That's funny.
This is a crack at this one. Matthew Fernanda has said, I got a handshake from Colin Montgomery.
Very good.
Lee Datson has said, Tiger who?
Yeah, nice.
Keith Fraser has said, so where's your cardigan anyway?
Yes, very good.
I don't have one.
Cameron Stewart has said, it was a 9:30 tea time and you still couldn't even do your hair.
Yes, not bad. I like all this. This is great.
And my favourite, this is a ripper, this one, Adrian Kolf has said, you know what? I could have beaten Tiger 3 times.
Sounds about right.
A last bit of feedback we got from Brett from Rosebud. Now, we had Brett on the show a little while ago. He was the guy who was getting some pro training from Terry Pilkadaris.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes.
Terry's chat to Brett.
Terry's a great coach, apparently. Everyone loves him.
He's got another question for you. Hey, lads, I'm telling all my friends about the show. They're all on board. Question for you. I'm practicing a lot each week on the things my coach and I are working on, yet I seem to be getting worse.
Ooh.
Almost to the point where, and this is not a reflection on Terry at all, of course, almost to the point where I'm starting to think too much over the ball. Any advice from you would be greatly welcomed. Kind regards, Brett.
Yeah, it's a common thing when you're trying to change your golf swing in that regard, Brett. But the key to it really is when you're on the range, you're working on the technique. You're not really worried about where the ball goes. So don't get too caught up in trying to be perfect on the driving range. And then when you're on the golf course, forget all the technical stuff. Then just go out and play and focus on your pre-shot routine and trying to hit good golf shots and that. It sounds to me as though you're still thinking technique while you're on the golf course, and that's a really hard spot to come from, and generally where the doubt comes in and you start taking too long over the ball. You get the Charlie Hulls, the Brian Harmons going, or the Rory McIlroys every now and then, where you're just taking too long over the ball, you start overthinking, and then it just goes pear-shaped from there.
No, that's very good advice. I know when I was working on stuff to try and correct things, I would really over-exaggerate on the driving range.
On the range, yes.
On the driving range, over-exaggerate. And then on the course, I just do it a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a feeling.
Just a feel, just a tiny little bit. So, for instance, if you're trying to have steep shoulders on the backswing, I'd really exaggerate when I was practicing. And then on the golf course, when there was a few butterflies in the tummy, then I would just do it just a little bit. And I would hope that all the exaggeration that I'd done on the driving range would filter in while I was on the golf course.
Yeah, I think we did a top 5 of that about over-exaggerating practice swings a while back. And you watch the pros when they are practicing. Justin Rose is a great example. He used to dip unbelievably into the ball when he was doing his little pre-shot routine thing, but the golf swing just looked perfect. So I like that. Over-exaggerate, but then a small feeling.
Righto, it's time for today's top 5. And today's top 5 is all about great names in golf. And they've got to have a little bit of a golfy sort of feel to them as well. There's got to be something about it. I mean, it can't just be a cool name.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It can't just be Steel Sidebottom or something like that, right? It's just got to be a really good golf name.
Okay.
And I've got an apology. I've got I've got two apologies.
Apologies.
Yeah, I do. Gary Player. Right, so Gary Player. That's a great golf
It is a
name.
great name.
I'm a player. But there were two Gary Players. One was Gary Edwin, who became one of the most decorated coaches in Australia. He had Peter Lonard, he had Paul Gow, he had so many
Peter
players.
Senior.
Peter Senior. His original name was Gary Player, but because there was already a Gary Player, he changed his name to Gary Edwin. So apologies to both Gary Players. At number 5, Cameron Champ.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Good name.
If I was a junior golfer and I was paired with Cameron Champ in the last round, and I'd never seen Cameron Champ before, I'd be a little concerned. You know? I'd be a little bit worried.
I mean, if I was Victor Hovland's parents, he'd probably be going, I wish they'd put a Y on the end of Victor. That'd have been
Victory,
good.
Victory Hovland. Yeah, that's a good one. At number 4, now I had to get him in because it's based on great names, and the reason we're doing it at the Irish Open, Hurley Long was leading after 3 rounds.
He sounds like an Irish guy, but he's actually German too.
Yeah, that's right. There's been lots of Longs. Michael Long.
Yep.
He was a great player, good bloke too, from New Zealand, a bit of a New Zealand flavour.
Golf and football.
That's right. But Michael Long, no big deal. Hurley Long.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Couldn't leave. This bloke makes a lot of top 5s. Tiger Woods. They asked Sandy Lyle at the Masters one year, what do you think of Tiger Woods? He said, I haven't played that course yet. All right. So, it feels like a golf name as well as being, you got Tiger in there.
Actually, Sandy Lyle, that's a good name too.
Sandy Lyle's a great golf name as well. I reckon Sandy Lyle won the Masters in 1987 or 86. It must have been the next year Tiger was playing as an amateur.
87 or 88, I think he won, yeah.
And they must have said, what do you think of Tiger Woods? Because he's a new whiz kid. I don't know. I've never played that course. At number 2, newcomer to golf, a newcomer to great names in sport. Anne Van Dam.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about her last week, didn't we?
Oh, I want to commentate when she's playing well.
Jean-Claude's sister.
And this is a blast at number 1. A blast from the 1950s and 1960s. Don't get in this bloke's way after a 3-putt. He was one of the angriest types ever. And with an angry man on a golf course, I want my name to be Tommy Bolt.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, magnificent.
Nice.
Apparently he was a madman.
Yeah, he had a pretty bit of temper on him.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Okay, it is time for this week's masterclass. Hey, just before we get into the masterclass, have you ordered your new ping clubs yet or not?
Not as yet. No, I was actually down at the warehouse in Moorabbin today picking up some beautiful ping apparel, actually. Some new jumpers, which is good.
Yeah, looks good.
Very nice. So, but Matt Austin's the guy down there who's usually looks after me here in Melbourne. He was actually with someone, so I didn't want to disturb. He had a fella there just getting a new putter sorted out. And I tell you what, they got a beautiful ping putting lab too there in Moorabbin. And it is, I'm not sure if they've got a little channel running down the middle because all the balls seem to go in the hole. So, it's a good way to do it. So
someone of your ilk, when you go to a new club, so when I go to Titleist, and my guy is Simon Davey, I just tell Simon, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Are you the same,
They've
or
got
will
all
you
my
go through the
specs.
whole lot at ping?
No, they've got all my specs from years ago, and nothing's ever changed. Although maybe I should probably get a softer shaft these days, given the way I hit it.
I was going to ask, at least they might soft step, your shaft. Now, it is a really good thing. A lot of people don't know about this sort of stuff, but if you've been using stiff shafts your whole life and you don't want to go to regular, your next set of clubs, ask the stiff shaft to be soft stepped.
Yeah.
And what that basically means is the 5-iron shaft goes in your 6-iron, and the 6-iron shaft goes into your 7-iron, and it just means they're just a tiny bit softer than regular. A lot of players on the PGA Tour, they love X100s. They're all using X100 Dynamic Gold because that's the club. A lot of those players get the X100 soft stepped.
Okay.
So that they are not, so brutal. Because if you ever hit a 5-iron blade with a X100 shaft in it, if you're doing that with under 100 miles per hour, it feels like it doesn't feel like a golf club anymore.
Yeah. No. Well, as I've mentioned before, I'm probably the least maintenance ping player there is, so I don't like to confuse them with anything like that. So I just tell them my old specs, and away we go.
and that Ping GLE3 range for women, that's unbelievable.
Oh, game changer.
They look so good.
Game changer for new people to the game.
Yeah.
An absolute game changer, that sort of stuff.
Beautiful sweet spots, light shafts. It's
just before you go to your masterclass, I played with you last week. I reckon you should get them
I think I should.
soft-stepped. I reckon you should.
The way I played, I think I should too. It was pretty. Although the right-handed shot was probably my best shot of the day.
Shot.
Yes.
Well, you actually
maybe I should get a right-handed set.
You should get a right-handed
actually,
and
well,
a left-handed set.
I have to because Nico Who's coming on strong. So
are we ever going to get to this masterclass? By the way,
can we get to the masterclass?
Okay. Yeah, we will. Okay. So this week, in honour of Minjee Lee's final shot with a wedge on the second playoff hole, it was an incredible shot, and it was all to do with really having a good look at the lie and what was going to happen from that position. And that's a great lesson for our listener out there, where you have to look at the lie first. The lie And I'm going to plug my own book here, How to Play Your Best Golf. It's not in this library, by the way. I need to get it up in that library.
Yeah, that's really disappointing.
There's a lot of libraries where I don't see my book, and that's an issue. So
They better wake. You're a member here.
I
as
know.
well.
I need to sneak one in. But in my book, I have a chapter there, and it's called The Lie Dictates Everything. Because that's the first thing you have to do when you get to the golf ball. Even when you're in the fairway, look at the lie, because even a slight depression with the ball sitting down a little, that'll have an effect on what sort of a shot and what club you're going to hit. Minjee, in this case, she was in pretty thick, I think it was ryegrass, I wasn't quite sure, but it was sitting down. She had to adjust what club she was using because she knew there was not going to be any spin. It was a little uphill. She knew it was going to roll a long way. So there's all these little factors you have to work in. So I'm going to do a little bit of a video later on in this masterclass. I'm going to talk about different lies. I'm going to show you some different lies, what the ball does, how it reacts. But that is a huge thing in the game of golf. Don't just get the laser out when you arrive at your ball to get the yardage. Look at the lie first, because that will determine what you can and can't do with the golf shot. So that's a very important lesson.
No, it's a ripper, absolutely. And it is a bit of a gamble. If you want the ball to go to pin high, especially when you don't want the ball to go over the back, it's a big gamble out of the rough, isn't it?
It is, yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, you'll find at most golf courses, if you come up short of the green, I mean, we always talk about amateurs coming up a little bit short, right? Not many people can get the ball pin high. But if you do come up short, if you're in a bit of trouble in the rough, most courses, that's fine.
No big
Long
deal.
is bad.
Yeah.
Long is bad. And you get those flyers going, that probably tends to happen. And as Minjee showed us, she hit a wedge 146 metres because it went 3 foot past.
Yeah.
And it was the shot that won of the tournament.
In the conversation that you heard between the player and the caddy, was there any, listen, if it doesn't fly, this will get to the front edge and we'll be fine. If it does fly, well, fingers crossed we'll be right.
Didn't hear any of that, because I think it was so consistent throughout that 9 holes. Whenever they were in the rough, everything was just flying and running. And the greens were rock hard too, and the entrances to the courses. And we see that a lot in the golf courses in Australia. The fronts of the greens here are very firm, and it will continue to roll. So you've got to allow a little bit for that.
Well, a big thank you to Woodlands Golf Club. Come down here anytime soon, and you'll see Nick O'Hearn's book in the in
the
here
library
somewhere. Again, a big congratulations to Minjee Lee on winning her 9th LPGA championship. I think she's won 12 around the world, so she is a star, and that is probably a Hall of Fame career already when you add in the couple of majors. See you next week.
All right. Cheers, Mark.
Oh, well, that's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen's podcast, Talk Birdie to Me. And if you're looking for some new clubs, whether you're a male or a female, Ping are the best in the business, and they'll help you play your best. Contact your local golf shop or professional, and they'll sort you out with a fitting. If you can, we'd love it if you could rate and review the podcast wherever you listen, and tell a friend about it. Word of mouth is the best recommendation. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media, and sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com.
How's Alannah's golf going? How's she going?
She has been out of late on the golf course, but funnily enough, she was down at the mall shopping centre. I call it a mall these days. I've been living in America too long. She was down at the because this library, I'm seeing all these golf books. It kind of reminds me of something she said the other day, where she sent me a photo and she said, "I'm moving your book to prime position in every shelf that I can see." So she visited about 2 or 3 bookshops in Southland, which is not far from here. She moved the book up, because the way the book's designed is, as you look at a book, normally you got to tilt your head sideways to read it, but the way my book reads is you can just look at it straight on. Very smart. Very clever by our publisher, Hardy Grant. They did a great job there.
That's
So.
very
Anyway,
clever.
so that's what she's been doing, moving my book.
She's a bit sneaky. She's very sneaky, your wife, isn't she?
Oh, she's a beauty.